leverage on the expertise that we have on stage with me. And I'll start with Mr. Ishiekwene, and I'd like to get his views, building on his experience and recommendations. We are launching a new enterprise today on the digital transition and also monetizing with the uniqueness of our own business ecosystem, and to share a couple of tips on how to navigate that for the many media entrepreneurs in the room.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, everyone. It's really an honor for me to be part of the panel that will be sharing on this very important subject of the economics of media business, understanding revenue models and profitability. And hearty congratulations to Dayo and the team for this great leap forward that they have taken by this unveiling. One of the first things I noticed when I came into this room is that there's not a single print newspaper in this room. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If you have any newspaper at all, can you just wave it? All right, awesome. Now, if this event was taking place about, say, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I'm sure that newspapers will be fluttering all around the room. That's clearly an indication of where we are going. But because I have very limited time, let me go straight into the subject. But that's just an anecdotal point that we need to reflect on as we launch yet another online newspaper. The fact that you do not have a physical newspaper in this room does not mean that platforms do not exist. And that really is at the heart of the excellent presentation by my good friend. I'm his subject, Akogun. I call him, he's a chief, and the rest of us are subjects. So that really was at the heart of the excellent presentation that he gave. But in the little time that I have, let me just start with the unveiling and the explainer provided by the COO. And some things I think that the COO and the entire Pinnacle team may wish to reflect on. He showed us what the offerings are on that platform. But a fundamental thing is that what controls the kind of revenue that you get on that platform is not here. It's called algorithms. And those algorithms can determine, algorithms controlled essentially by big media. Google, for example, is a search engine that controls at least 90% of our searches, followed by Bing, which is a product of Microsoft. They determine essentially the kind of revenue that you make. So when you display that, keep in mind that having a platform is one thing, but dealing with the algorithms that determine the kind of revenue you get, entirely a different subject. Point number one. Point number two, online as platforms, data has shown that online as platforms are not as viable as taking people to consuming products as social networks. So a lot of people consume their news through social networks and not necessarily through your online platform. So I would like to suggest to Pinnacle, as we have seen their online platform, which is quite robust, I have tested it, to also work assiduously at building online platforms from which people can go and consume their product before they even reach their online presence. Social media platforms are very viable, and also influencer presence. These are key pointers or constructs from which people consume their news. But let me just, in the 2 or 3 minutes left for me, let me deal essentially with the point that has been presented. I just summarized the presentation into 3 parts: the business model, editorial culture, and audience centricity. Under business model, he talked about investment in talent. What kind of, you also have to invest in talent, build a model that is sensitive to your data and so forth and so on. But one of the key challenges that we all face as media people is, and Omalicha Radio, my dear sister Angela was talking about it this morning. Where are you going to find those key talents that will help you build a business model that will last very long? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. The second thing is editorial culture. Editorial culture has moved from what it used to be when people used to believe in themselves as when we all used to work in silos. My recommendation is that you build an editorial culture that starts by changing the mindset of the people who lead your team. Because one of the major challenges we face in newsrooms, especially evolving newsrooms, is you have dinosaurs managing what is an essential change process. So people who are used to the old way of doing things, until and unless you begin to change a mindset and build an editorial culture that responds and resonates to the changing times, you are going to have a very, very hard time. So in building an editorial culture that lasts, mindset is a key thing that you have to deal with. And finally, before I pause, I talk about audience centricity, that is using data. I believe that one of the biggest losses for Nigeria was what happened to Daily Times, a brand that was built in 1926, but utterly stripped. The story of Daily Times is the story of Nigeria, essentially. But unfortunately, all the data, that data which we could have used over the years to build huge revenue models, is all lost. So it's important for us to pay attention to data and also what the data is telling us, both in terms of how we build our content and also in terms of how we engage with readers and our audiences. I'll pause, and if I have another opportunity, I probably will go into some of these things in greater details. I thank you very much for this.